so many fucking luminaries. This is the best place to come in poker to discuss things because there's no censorship and there's no holds barred and there's not a bunch of fucking bullshit. All right. Let me do like a little scenario for you to prove why this is true. When two either tough poker players or wannabe bala poker players get all in a run it twice game, neither of them will ask the other person if he wants to run it twice because it's a sign of weakness. The first person to say, do you want to run it twice, is basically saying to the other person, I'm your bitch. It's like this groping in the dark. It's like asking for a first date or something with a chick. You put the other person in the entire position of power. Because then the other person can say just like, no, I run it once. Adoy. Run it once. Now, come on, move the cards. You've let the other person gain psychological ascendancy over you, right? So the type of players, tough type players, the type of players who will bluff or semi-bluff at the correct frequency, never ever fucking run it twice with each other. They both just sit there quietly and secretly hope the other person will say, you want to run it twice? And sometimes the really, really, like the ones who think they're really, really tough, they just hold up their finger like this. One. They just hold up a number one. As soon as the money goes in, they just hold up the number one. Okay? Now, so here's what you hear now. This is what you will hear sometimes. You'll hear the weaker of the two players say something like, you want to do anything? Like sometimes you'll hear the weaker of the two players say, you want to do anything? That's the closest thing you'll ever hear is one person saying to the other one, when you got two like wannabe ballers in, the most you'll ever hear one of them say is, hey, you want to do anything? And even then, they're giving the other player psychological ascendancy because then the other player could say, what? No, once. Hold up the number one. Bala. Once. Okay? Now, what does this mean? What this means is the thing that Barry Greenstein and the other like guy who just copies everyone's strat and retweets it, the thing that those two people are doing is they're playing scared poker because they are scared of somebody playing more aggressively in pots. But they are scared, what they are scared of isn't actually going to happen. So let me continue this. It's all going to come full circle. Don't worry. So who are the type of people who immediately ask you, hey, do you want to run it twice? Let's run it twice, right? You go all in with another player and they immediately say, hey, do you want to run it twice? Let's run it twice. Who are these people? These are all recreational players except for one small sliver that I'll discuss. Except for one small sliver, everybody who will just come out and say, hey, let's run it twice is a recreational player. They're not trying to get psychological ascendancy. They aren't trying to act baller. They're trying to gamble and have fun, okay? So, when you say to these people, remember, there's one, like we discussed earlier, it's like 1% of people who are going to use the ability to run it twice to play you tougher. That's 1% of all people. The other 90%, and then there's another little sliver, are people who want to run it twice, who are not trying to gain psychological ascendancy, and by letting them know that you will always run it twice with them, they play worse. Not better, worse. They don't semi-bluff and bluff more. They call off more. They call off more. That's what it causes. If you are like me and you play and run it twice games every day, you know this. The giantest whales generally want to run it twice. The giantest whales. And the reason the giant whales want to run it twice is not so they can bluff and semi-bluff you. It's so they can make horrifically bad calls and get some of their money back. There's an old saying about showing cards, okay? You got just follow me on this. They say, well, don't show cards, okay? But that's not right. It's not right that you just don't show cards. Now, if you don't know how to do it, then don't do it. But the truth is, you can show cards if it encourages your opponent to keep making their biggest mistake. So, if their biggest mistake is calling too much, you can show them a bluff every now and then and keep them calling more and more and more. And if their biggest mistake is folding too much and you're just pounding on them, when you got the nuts, you can flash it to them and keep them thinking like he just always has it. Okay? You want to encourage your opponents to keep making their biggest mistakes. The biggest mistake of all recreational players is they want to see flops and turns and rivers. That's their mistake. If you tell that person, I'm not running it twice with you, or you try to get cagey and run it twice sometimes and blah, 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 that person is going to stop giving you action. You are going to actually make them a tougher player by not running it twice. If you guys know some of the people in the stream know who I play with every day. You see the giant pots and you see it's always getting run twice with the same few guys, these big whale recreational players. Why are they getting it in with me so bad, like with like gut shots and shit? It's because they can run it twice. They say to themselves, Abe moves all in. And then they say, oh, fuck it, I call. Let's run it twice. That's it. They say, fuck it, I call. Let's run it twice. And I'm like, yeah, run it twice. Go. No problem. Nobody is ever going to be able to use that against me, you see? Because the people who would maybe need that run it twice to use it against me, those people don't run it twice anyway. Because they're afraid to ask me to run it twice. They're afraid to ask any other professional player to run it twice. Because when you ask somebody to run it twice, you're the bitch. All right? You are saying, I can't handle this. I can't handle the size of these pots. I can't handle the size of this game. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. I'm going to play a song here. And I gotta go and refill my drink. I'm going to play a song. And we're going to come back for a little overtime. Okay? So let me play a song here.